Hello everyone, welcome to the sit down. Today we have Aidan. Aidan, how are you?
I'm doing all right myself. How about you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? What do you do? What's your major here at Sacred Heart?
So my name is Aidan Connolly. I am an exercise science major on the 3-year track plus the 2 years for occupational therapy school, which is my current goal, pre-admitted, but maybe we'll look elsewhere, but who knows. Other than that, don't really do too terribly much. I'm involved with campus ministry, and I'm also involved with club esports, which I guess kind of segues nicely into what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, definitely. So what's your relationship here with esports here at Sacred Heart?
So here at Sacred Heart, I started just like playing on the Rainbow Six Siege team because it was a game I enjoyed, and I wanted to play a little bit, but come the esports showcase, which is an event that we host here where we have a lot of different colleges from the state come to Sacred Heart and play stuff, I was offered to like a position to broadcast for them, like to commentate for them, because that's something I do in my free time as a side job. So I started doing that, and through doing that I met a lot more people, and now I'm in like a higher ranking position on the club where I help get our games streamed and make sure that we have a live stream to go with a lot of our matches that happen.
So yeah, what's your just favorite thing about esports here at Sacred Heart?
Well, I mean, here at Sacred Heart, it's just nice to get to meet people through esports with a common, interest in that, because you meet people in your class and you have no idea what they like to do, and you'll make friends and such, but it's not really the same as when you meet someone through a common interest and then you can bond over that. It's a very good way to like get to know more people, and also just the experience of the showcase to be for the first time in a place where in person everyone was like playing games competitively was just so cool. It was such an awesome experience, and I'm looking forward to having that again this year.
Definitely, definitely. So we'll get into the beef and potatoes of all this. Can you just give a basic explanation for those behind the screens that don't really know what's going on, some of the aspects that make esports great?
I think it's just generally anything that makes normal competitive sports great is what makes esports awesome as well, right? So you're talking about wanting to compete, wanting to play stuff at a competitive level, and a really deep, intricate understanding of those games by the people who are playing them. Also just the ability to demonstrate skill and watch and say, wow, that's something I never could do in my whole life. That's something that doesn't just apply to sports, but it also applies to esports as well. And it's also awesome because like there's a whole magnitude of games, from the most complex MOBA or first-person shooter with way too many details to something like Rocket League, where it's just cars playing soccer and anyone can pick up on the general idea immediately. But even that has so much more depth to it. I think that's something that makes general sports great, but also something that makes esports awesome as well.
Definitely, definitely. And you also touched upon a few times there sports, and so might be a little biased here, but we do have to ask, do you see esports being sports, or is it maybe its own thing? What's your take on that?
I think it's like general same category, maybe like a sister or cousin to sports, if you will. I actually wrote an essay in high school towards the end of the year, a research paper about esports being sports, and initially I was going to say why they aren't considered sports. But the more I looked into it and I was like, what defines a sport? It's like, what kind of makes sports what they are? I realized that technically by definition, they do fit it. It's just that they're electronic as opposed to actually just being physical and in person. So I kind of ended up inadvertently thinking that they are considered sports, but I do understand that, like, the online in-person versus in-person aspect, and the playing mostly through electronics does kind of make it a little different, but I would say by definition they do fit under that umbrella.
Definitely, definitely. And so running out of time here, but just wanted to ask if you have any advice for anyone out there, if it's just for casting, commentating, not even just for esports, but maybe even just other sports.
One thing that I always love about commentators that I would recommend anyone watching give a chance and to really try and let show while they're broadcasting is let the passion you have for what you're doing show. Don't try and lower it at all. Don't try and be more low-key than you think you need to be. If that becomes a problem, then people who are very experienced will tell you about it. But when you're starting off, let the whole world see that you love what you're doing and you really want to be there. Like, get excited, go crazy. That shows in the broadcast, and it makes for a more exciting and fun broadcast. Even if it doesn't sound the most polished, it's still like you can just kind of hear when someone really enjoys what they're doing versus when they're just kind of phoning it in because they're getting a check for it, and they just, it's not that they don't have passion for it, but they just would rather, or not even that they'd rather do something else, but that they consider it like a job. Whereas for so many people out there, it's something that's a real passion for them that they don't need to get paid for, and they would still happily do it. And that's the one thing that I always look for when I'm listening to people that I have never heard before. And for the first time, I want to like get my first impression of them. If they sound like they're just very dull and monotone, that's, you know, very normal. If I know what the content of what they're saying is good, then I'll give them a chance. But something that I always look for and that impresses me a ton whenever I hear it is just sounding as though you have that passion and just letting it flow through you in the broadcast. That's the one thing that I would recommend for anybody, because there's nothing worse than an amazing moment in anything, not just esports, but sports as well, where the commentator just, you feel like there should have been a little more just passion behind it, and it just feels like it comes out a little bit more soulless than you would like. That's the one thing that really bugs me, is because that just shows me that you're just doing it because this is your job, right? And at that point, other people kind of want it more than you, and I'd want to hear them kind of bring a voice to those moments. So that's the one thing about me, is show that you want it, show that you care, and just love what you do, really.
Definitely awesome. Well, hey, Aidan, thank you so much. That's all the time we have for today. I appreciate it. Thank you for joining us, and let's send it back over to the studio.